Lesson 29, I am going to show two examples for continuing our work on solving for x when there is a square root in the equation. So when we take a look at this particular question, we see that we have a radical x here with an x plus in front. Now our goal is still to isolate the radical first as best as we can. So our first option would be to minus x on both sides. And so when we do that, we now have 6 minus x on the left, and we have a square root of x on the right. So by doing that, we are now going to square both sides. That's going to allow this square to cancel that square root. And essentially on this side, we now have 6 minus x times 6 minus x. And then we have an x on the right. So when you multiply these together, your result is going to be 36 minus 12x plus x squared, and that's going to be equal to x. We're going to set this equal to 0 by subtracting x to the other side. And so then if we rearrange and write this in standard form, we're going to have x squared minus 13x, and then plus 36 is equal to 0. If things work out well, this will factor. As such, we'll have an x here and an x here. We'll do a minus 9 and a minus 4. And then if we separate these out, that means x will equal 9 and x will equal 4. Remember, we need to check for extraneous solutions. So if we checked each one, the 9 and then the 4, if we're checking for the 9, so let's see, check for x equals 9, we would have 6 equals 9 plus the square root of 9. That's going to give you 9 plus 3, which is 12. That is not equal to 6. So this one is extraneous. And now we're going to try the 4. So if we check for x equals 4, we'll have 6 equals 4 plus the square roots of 4. That is 4 plus 2, and then we get 6. So this one does work. That's the only one that's the actual solution. X equals 9 is extraneous. So again, just to kind of summarize what's happening, our goal, if possible, is still to isolate the radical. That would be the first goal. Sometimes this is not necessarily possible. And then you kind of look at those on a case-by-case basis, but as long as you can do that first. And then after you do that, you're going to square or cube both sides, depending on the radical. Obviously a square if it's a square root, or a cube if it's a cube root. And so we'll do that to each side. And then you're going to simplify and solve each equation for x. So with this, what you're going to do is you're going to take a few minutes and you're going to actually try on your own today exercises 1, 2, 3, and then 4. So you'll need to pause the video, take some time to solve it. Once you're done solving them, then you're going to unpause the video, what I'll do is I'll give you the answers to each one. I'm not actually going to solve 1, 2, 3, and 4 for you. I'm going to give you the answer. If in the event you can't get the answer, ask someone around you for help, or come and see me and see if you can get the answers for these. So again, press pause. Now, if you've done that, I'm going to go ahead and give you the answers. You should already have these solved by now. So for number 1, you should have said if you solve these, the only solution is x equals 1. The other x value equals to 1/9 is extraneous. So this one does not actually work. For number 2, there are 2 solutions, x equals 9 and x equals 1. For number 3, the only solution is x equals 4. The other potential solution, x equals -1, is again extraneous. And then in number 4, after you solve it out, this actually ends up being no solution. It does not work at all. So again, if you did not get those 4 answers, just come see me and I'll work through those with you and help you understand that. There's one more example. That would be example number 2. I will model this one so you can see how this one works out. This one's a little bit different because, again, you can see there's radical here and a radical there. There's no real way that I'm going to completely isolate radicals the way that I desire them to be. So we're just going to make a choice, and we're going to choose to subtract the square root of x on both sides. And at least what that'll do is that'll get the x plus 3 with a square root on its own. That's going to make the right hand side a little bit more complicated, but that's okay. We'll deal with that. And so as you see this one work out, we'll square this side. And so if we square the left, we have to square the right. And so these will cancel. You'll get an x plus 3 on the left. And remember, this kind of expands itself out. So now you have a 3 minus the square root of x. And you'll have another 3 minus the square root of x. And so now when you multiply those together, you're going to get 9 minus 6 square roots of x and then plus x. Now we can start to solve for x by moving things over to one side or another to kind of get those isolated. And so now if you move this x over to this side, those go away. And so now we have 3 equals 9 minus 6 square root of x. We can minus 9 to the other side. That's going to give us a negative 6 equals negative 6 square roots of x. And then divide by negative 6. So now 1 is going to equal the square root of x. And then again, to undo a square root, you square both sides. Those cancel. And then x is going to equal to 1. So again, obviously we have to check to make sure that actually works. So the square root of 1 plus the square root of 1 plus 3. We want to see if that actually equals 3. So the square root of 1 is 1. 1 plus 3 is 4. The square root of 4 is 2. And that equals 3. So that confirms this as a solution. It's not extraneous. And so you can kind of see the complexity in this particular one. Same thing. It's your turn. Try exercise 5 and then try exercise 6 on your own. So again, you'll pause the video. I'll pause for a second. And then when you're done, unpause the video. And I'll tell you the answers to numbers 5 and 6. And again, if you need help, ask someone in class, discuss it, and if that doesn't work, come and see me and I'll show you how to solve it. So again, pause the video. All right, the answers to number 5 is x equals 4, and the answer to number 6 is x equals 144. So again, if you need any extra help, come and see me after this. Look to see what's next on your list to do today.